Hi there, I'm the Paranoid King. I'm currently ranked Platinum on my main account and looking to get better by analyzing my gameplay. Hopefully you too can learn from my mistakes and thought patterns to improve your own games. The Treasure Trove Galaxy gives extra items, as all neutral monsters drop a loot orb. My first thought is Cybers, since that comp really benefits from having extra items. The starting carousel is all spatulas. That shifted my thoughts to what comps benefit from spatulas. Mech Infiltrator and Rebels both benefit from Demo Spat, so I pick up the Ziggs. If I'm gonna go Rebels, I need a lot of early Ziggs and Malphites, as well as tiers for Ziggs. For Mech, the early units don't matter as much, as you roll a bit later for Annie, Fizz, and Rumble. The key items for this comp are Bramblevest and QSS, so if I don't get components for these early, I will start to think about other comps. I already have the components for Demo Spat, but I don't immediately make it, as it is far too early to commit to a comp. Jace is a really good unit to have this early, especially since I can make Vanguard with my Leona. While this definitely doesn't force me into a comp, it does make me think about Vanguards again, especially since I already have Fiora. I sell some units that I'm unlikely to use, and pick up the other Vanguards as well as the Malphite, still keeping Rebels open. At this point in the game, I like to pick up a lot of units to shape my mid-game around what I can 2-star, rather than forcing a comp. I have lots of gold, so I level here to put in my 2-star Kha'Zix, as my board is otherwise pretty weak, even with the Jace. While I definitely like having pairs, I prioritize getting to 10 gold here, as I got quite a bit of extra gold early, and having strong econ will allow me to level faster. I keep the Fioras over the Caitlyn's, as I already have one Cyber. Getting a 2-star Fiora definitely makes me want to put in Cybers at least for the early game, as I won't hit 6 Cybers until level 9 probably, so it's easy to transition out of it if I find better units later. While scouting, I see a lot of 2-star Ziggs, so it doesn't look like going Rebels is the best idea. Nobody looks like they're going Cybers though, as I don't see any Lucians out. Switching in the Fiora is good, but ideally she would be closer to the front. I could have positioned way better for this fight. My 1-star Leona took the aggro from both the 2-star Poppy and the Jace. If she had split the damage with the Fiora, they both might have survived longer. I would have also liked my Jace closer to the center, as his first ult only hit 2 of the units. I think a better position would have been Leona, Jace, and Fiora all next to each other in the middle. I now have 3 Cybernetics, so I put the Lucian in for the Kha'Zix. I only end up putting 1 item on any of them. I saved the glove, as that is part of all of Irelia's core items, but I should have put the rod on Fiora, since that's not a great component for Cybers, and she and Leona are good for holding spare components. Splitting my frontline up like this really doesn't benefit me. It means that each of them are likely to take more damage, and my Jace isn't as likely to hit multiple units. I'm definitely thinking about Cybers, and with a glove on my bench, I'd like to pick up a sword or a bow to make Infinity Edge or Last Whisper. These are all defensive items, so I think about what other items I can make. Red buff on Lucian is ideal, and there is a Lucian with a vest, so that's my top pick for sure. Only belts are left, so I pick up the Vi, both because I could run her, but also she is the highest cost unit, so I get the most value if I decide to sell her. My Vi has an item on her, and I don't want to put either of those components on Lucian, so I switch her in. I could level here, but my board is pretty strong, and I could hit 30 gold if I win and sell the Ziggs. I do put the rod on Fiora, so now all my Cybers have items. Buying the extra Leona when I already have a 2-star and it would cost me econ is 100% not worth it. I'm scouting here to see where my enemies are positioned. I look for what side they're on mostly, as I'm less concerned with blitzcranks or infiltrators since all of my units are melee. I do want Vi on the opposite side for many carries though. If I lose, I plan to buy the Jace, but if I win, I'm prioritizing the 40 gold at this point, as 2-starring Jace will be easier once I level up. I might not have the most damage output at this point, but my survivability means Jace will be able to ult multiple times. Once I level up, I'm looking to put in a source of damage, either the Lucian from my bench, or a Darius if I find him, to give me pirate synergy. Here's the Darius I'm looking for, but I don't buy him and instead prioritize the extra gold. I don't think this was the best move, as pirate synergy will give me extra gold, and without red buff or blaster synergy, he's a better unit than my Lucian. I get a second spatula, which means force of nature, which will let me put in an extra unit. This shop has lots of good units for me. The Irelia is my carry in this comp. I also get a Kassadin, which can pair with her for Mana Reaver, and an Ezreal, which could pair with my Lucian for Blaster. Unfortunately, I only have 2 Blade Masters right now, so going forward, I should look to pick up a Shen or a Xayah, or a Kayle if I get lucky and find her. At this point, I should put in Irelia for Vi and build Last Whisper on her. I also want to put in the Kassadin to give me Mana Reaver. I almost do neither of those things, but I switch Irelia in at the last moment. Ideally, she'd be in the second row though, to avoid initial aggro, but still be close to the action. Here, I should pick up the Shen and the Darius and put both of them in, leveling up and taking out either the Vi or the Lucian. I lose out on Blade Master, which is a huge buff to Irelia, by not putting in the Shen, and having 5 Cybers does not give me any additional buff. I like my positioning here. My Mana Reavers are spread enough to affect the 2 different units, my Jace is center enough to hit multiple units, but still protected from getting all the aggro, and my Irelia and Darius are back on the second row. I sell units to get back to 50 gold, but I definitely should have kept the Shen. Finding Echo is key to this comp, so I want to prioritize leveling over rolling, at least until I hit level 8. Even though my Lucian is only 1 star, he is not the focus of my comp, so it would have been better to not have rolled. My Irelia would have been better positioned on the far left. She got stuck attacking into Shen's shield, and died without hitting the Xayah. Here the glove is my number 1 pick, as that is a good component for Irelia. If that gets taken, the Lucian with the vest is also a good pick. I already have a lot of belts I could use for red buff, so I should have gone for the Jace with the cloak, but I waited too long. I should definitely be picking up these Shens. Something I should be thinking about is who is my carry and what makes that unit strong. Here, Irelia is my carry, and she is strengthened by Blade Master, which I would get from the Shen, and Chrono, which I could have from the Shen and the Ezreal if I switch him for Lucian, and Cybers, which I would still have even if I took out the Vi and the Lucian. It's too late to think about 3-starring 1 costs, so there is no reason to hold on to the extra copies of Fiora or Leona anymore. Wukong is a better late-game Vanguard than Jace, but Jace is better to keep in right now because of the pirate synergy. Kayle is also a good Blade Master, especially late game if I get a Misfortune for Valkyrie. I could have sold the 2 Fioras and gotten her. Since I'm not making any changes to my board, this is a good opportunity to scout out what my opponents have. I want to look if any other people are building Irelia, as well as what items and what units my opponents have, to think about what items to build going forward that would best counter them. For example, if I see a lot of magic damage, I might want to put Dragon's Claw on Irelia. I got some good items. I'm able to make Infinity Edge for Irelia and Red Buff on Lucian. I can also put a Morelos on Wukong when I eventually add him in. I'll likely sell the Darius before he goes in though, so for now it's fine to put the Rod on him. Since I want to reach 9 as fast as possible, I think that leveling up here is a good idea. I now have Blaster, which is good for the red buff, but still no Blade Master or Chrono, which are far more important since Irelia, not Lucian, is my main carry. Now I have Chrono, but I lost the pirate synergy. Darius is still giving me Mana Reaver though, so he's fine to keep in until I can add Kassadin or Thresh. My Irelia successfully avoided the Shen this time, but the rest of their team was still stronger than mine. There aren't any components I particularly need, but I could pick up the Thresh or the Misfortune. I go for the Rod though, so I can make the Morello for Wukong without selling the Darius. I get a Kale and put her in because she is a good unit, unintentionally finally getting 3 Blade Master. It would have been good to level up all the way to 8 here, to add the Ezreal in to give me both Chrono and Blaster synergies. This would also give me a higher chance of finding Echo in my next shop, as I really need him to complete all of my Cybers. I can put another IE on Irelia with these items, as well as a ZZ Rot or Redemption on Vi. Once I have my core items on my carry, I can start thinking about other items onto other people. Both ZZ Rot and Redemption are good secondary items, as they make my team last longer. At this point, I'm very close to my ideal final comp. I definitely need to put in Echo, as he completes the Cyber trait. I'd also like to have Misfortune instead of Ezreal, and Thresh instead of Darius. I could also think about keeping the Ezreal and going for 4 Chrono at level 9. This person is super strong and is the one who ended up winning first place. Bows are also good on Kale, and I can use the Rod from Darius to make Rage Blade, as he falls off strongly in the late game. I definitely want to sell him as soon as I find a Thresh. At this point, I have a fair amount of gold, and am still relatively healthy compared to the rest of the lobby, so I think I should go to 9. Most of these items are really good for me. I end up picking the Rage Blade, as that is perfect for Kale, and it means I could use the bow for a future RFC. My recording unfortunately ends here due to some technical difficulty. The game did not last much longer than this. I had a hard time finding Echo, and without him, Cybers falls off sharply. I ended up placing 3rd. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video or learned something, please like and subscribe. If you have any suggestions, leave a comment. Thank you.